Stephen A., what's your reaction to that latest we just heard?
My reaction to it is that the lawyer for Antonio Brown certainly didn't help him with that last statement, because it is entirely plausible that the police might have interviewed her, knew that it was going nowhere, and said, why bother? We don't like that, but that's something that many, many women who have been victims have complained about in terms of police and how they're not proactive and instead are reactive to things. That's number one. Number two, once again, my position from yesterday has not changed one bit. My position is that innocent or guilty, the fact is there's nothing good that Antonio Brown has been in the news about since the last week of the NFL regular season. And this is a man that cares about his reputation, and it's literally dissipating and diminishing or actually deteriorating before our very eyes. And that's something that he needs to pay attention to. He needs to monitor what he does. He needs to monitor who he's around. He needs to monitor his temperament, because, see, here's where the part where I get really, really uncomfortable. How much you want to make a bet that if we keep talking about this stuff, we're going to see footage of Antonio Brown on the sideline getting into the face of an offensive coordinator or one of the assistant coaches? How much you want to make a bet about that? Of course, because what that's going to do is depict visually the kind of anger he's capable of having. It has absolutely nothing to do with this incident at all, but folks will, do pictures and do video, will portray it that way. He does not win. So the bottom line is that he needs to be incredibly careful, all right? And he just needs to be more diligent in his approach towards doing the right thing and also conveying that he's and displaying that he's doing the right thing in the public eye.
There's, of course, these are allegations. There's a presumption of innocence legally. I think, as I mentioned yesterday, in the public square, I think there's oftentimes a presumption of guilt. Mm-hmm. I'll say this. Antonio Brown's reputation at this point, we think about the best, forgive me for making it about football. We think about the best receivers in the game. Three are often mentioned: Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, and Odell Beckham Jr. They seem to be on their own tier, even as others say apologies to so-and-so who really should be, but those are the three that are most often mentioned. So you think about what kind of receiver or player do teams want? The number one is Julio Jones, who just keeps his head down and works. He's incredibly productive, great talent, and just does his job, isn't a prima donna, stays out of the news, and all those things. That's the guy the teams want the most. And you look at Antonio Brown, like not that long ago, it was Antonio Brown next because he's a bit of a prima donna, but then Odell Beckham seemed to be the biggest prima donna, and so he was the guy you didn't want. But when you look at the kind of controversy Odell has been involved in off the field of play, things like he's partying in Miami. There was an unfortunate picture from a hotel room. Again, he's like in circumstances that the league, I'm sure, would rather not see him publicly, right. But it didn't, he wasn't hurting anybody. It wasn't that, he wasn't being accused of hurting anybody. These are different kinds of allegations and it's a different kind of controversy. It's not just degree, it's kind. It's a different kind, not a difference of degree. And this makes Antonio Brown more toxic to teams, I believe, than he was before this news came out, even though I understand it's still allegations. Nevertheless, it's one thing after another, and now what we're hearing about are serious things, not just salacious things, but serious things.
Locker room.
Listen, here's the deal. Innocent until proven guilty legally. Guilt until proven innocent in the public eye. That's unfortunately the situation that NFL players are facing. Professional athletes, but primarily NFL players with some of the things that have happened in recent memory. Here's why you don't feel but so much sympathy for Antonio Brown. He's not Juju Smith-Schuster. He's not 21, 22 years of age, just getting in the league in the second year. This man has been around for a decade. This man is 30 years old. He knows the NFL inside and out. A matter of fact, he went about the business of calculatively and very skillfully, I might add, really building his image, to be the kind of entertaining superstar. Somebody that dances in the end zone, somebody that shows up on various shows, showed up on Dancing with the Stars, things of this nature. He's done a great deal to ingratiate himself with the public eye in an effort to monetize his brand. We get all of that. So you know what comes with this. You knew exactly what you were doing when you were building yourself up, which means you're responsible for whatever teardown is in the process, because that means at the very least, you weren't responsible enough to protect your image. Now, that's not paramount in this particular situation. What's paramount in this situation is making sure, are you innocent of this?
Yeah.
Are you innocent or are you guilty of this? Because let me tell you something. We've heard Antonio Brown speak on too many occasions. You certainly went at Emmanuel Stewart on Twitter, on social media when he was at the when he was on the NFL Network. Emmanuel Sanders. I'm sorry.
The late great Emmanuel Stewart, the boxing trainer.
I'm sorry. My
colleague.
apologies.
Yep.
Emmanuel Sanders. Okay. So you go after these guys. You've spoken out, but with this incident, you have nothing to say. See, these are the kind of things that people talk about when you are so quick to speak up about anything else pertaining to you. But with something like this, you have absolutely nothing to say.
Yeah.
Again, in the court of public opinion, we understand legally how that would be wise. But in the court of public opinion, it serves as an element to contribute to your indictment.
All right, let me just say this quickly before we go to break. The police report, it's disturbing. I'll be interested to see what the NFL finds in their investigation. I hope it's a thorough investigation, and I'll be watching how they handle it regardless the outcome. And I'm saddened for his children and for him and the female involved. It's an unfortunate situation all around that they have to deal with this now and hear about it in the media.